Darkest Readings, horror, sci-fi, and King Kong fans. We're here with a very special episode of Horror, Sci-Fi, and Beyond. It's the 90th anniversary of the classic, the monster to rule all monsters, and that is going to be Marion C. Cooper's King Kong. And with me to review this prestigious, iconic movie, we got the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Eric White.
Oh, that's me. I'm the man, the myth, the legend. That's not true. That can't be right. But thanks. Glad to be here.
And then we got another guest, Action Jackson Harper.
Yay!
And then you know him from the Mummy review and the Godzilla vs. Kong review, Bradley, not Cooper, Renfoe.
Yo, yo.
How's everybody doing today?
Oh, we're
Pretty
great.
good. Yeah.
Been busy.
Oh, yeah, I hear it.
Yeah, I work at a movie theater and Super Mario Brothers came out and it's been
Oh,
shit.
wow.
that movie is making so much money. It's crazy.
Yeah, I saw
Yep.
it myself. It was great.
But
Yeah.
it's making me money too because I'm the bartender and people bring their kids and the parents all want drinks from me.
Yep.
Anyways, guys, you guys decided to review some King Kong?
Always.
Yeah.
Yep.
But before we get to that real quick, a little bit of housekeeping. The next video, after you're gonna see after this, is gonna be a special video for May the 4th, and it's gonna be me doing a tier list of all the Star Wars movies and TV shows. So be looking
Oh boy.
That'll be my first tier list video.
Oh. Good luck.
That'll be fun. Yeah, they're gonna
And
be.
when Drew is assassinated in a few weeks.
Oh god.
That's the luck, buddy. I'm saluting you now.
Yeah.
It'll be fine. It'll be fine. No one will get mad. This is all gonna go well.
But anyways, guys, before we get to the King Kong review, let's do the plot synopsis according to IMDb. A film crew goes to a tropical island for a location shoot where they capture a colossal ape who takes a sign to the beautiful blonde Scarlet and brings him back to New York.
That's a whole movie. Like they just gave me the entire movie in that plot
much.
synopsis.
It's like, oh, and did we mention there's dinosaurs in the movie too?
It's true.
Yeah, dinosaurs. So I guess let's kind of go around the room real quick and kind of explain how we kind of discovered King Kong. And I'll start with you, Bradley. I know you already said that in the King Kong versus Godzilla review, but for people who haven't seen it, just kind of explain where you discovered the character.
Energizer battery commercials from 1993. Yeah, that is like they were having like the 60th anniversary of King Kong. I was 4 years old. They had the Energizer bunny with the whole still going, nothing lasts longer than Energizer battery. But King Kong is climbing the Empire State Building, and this woman just comes in, shuts the window on his foot, and I think that's when he falls off. So that's how
Pretty good.
All right, Jackson, how did you discover King Kong?
It was one of those movies I saw when I was really young, and it was on a tape that we had. It had been taped off of television. I don't know who taped it. Either my mom or my aunt taped it. And I have a very specific memory. I don't remember how old I was, probably 10, 11. And I had like a sleepover birthday party and a bunch of my friends came over. And I tried to get them all to watch King Kong because I was obsessed with it and used to watch it all the time. And nobody was interested. So I sat there and watched the movie by myself while they all did other stuff.
We've all been there.
The life of a movie nerd, y'all.
That's the monster movies.
Yeah. What about you, Eric? How did you discover Kong?
It was so when I was a kid, my cousins went to Florida, and I guess my parents, because maybe they didn't love me, or maybe they just like get him out of the house. They took me along with them. And so they went to like, I can't remember if it was Universal or Disney for one day.
It's
I think it was
Universal.
Universal.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I rode the King Kong ride, and I was the scariest thing I'd ever been on in my entire life. I was like 5. I was probably way too young to be riding that thing. But I'd never seen the movie before then, and
So
so
real quick, the Jaws ride didn't do it for you?
I don't think the Jaws ride was open then. So this is like 1990. Like this is like
Oh
years
yeah,
before that even
I
opened.
thought you're older than me.
The Jaws,
Yeah.
no, the Jaws ride was there.
Was it
might
there?
have been
Okay.
shut down because
It might
it
have
had
been.
a lot of difficulties. I know a lot about Universal. Sorry.
I was definitely terrified of the King Kong ride. So my cousins probably were like, "We can't take him on the Jaws ride. That's just gonna completely terrify him." But I guess in order to get over that, like then my cousins later on were just like, "Let's watch King Kong." And I was like, "Okay." And it wasn't nearly as scary as the ride was. So my
Yeah.
first instance was being completely terrified by a giant King Kong, which is scarier than this movie or any of the other ones, as far as I'm concerned.
Banana bread.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, he did.
yeah. So my introduction to King Kong was I played a lot of Mario, games and Donkey Kong and all that stuff. So I knew like the name Kong. And then I remember my experience was very similar to yours, Eric, when I went to Universal Studios, and that's what did it for me. I went on the ride, and then my dad kind of explained the whole story to me because I didn't know the story, and
Sure.
that was like maybe a year before it closed down, and then which is really sad to see. And I just remember just being lifted up by Kong. That was like the one thing I remember from that ride.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember there's like real flames, like they had like pyrotechnics in there and everything.
It was
Yeah,
a terrific ride. It
Scary.
was.
But then the Peter Jackson movie came out. I watched that. Freaked the hell out of me. To the point. Well, actually, I went with a family that we knew from church. They took me, and one of the daughters there, Natalie, who's a little bit older than me, saw that I was freaked out by the native scene, and actually covered my eyes. It's really funny.
It's a scary scene.
Yeah, and then maybe like 4 years later, I ended up finally watching the original, which I enjoyed a lot.
I actually saw the original, the full movie for the first time in 1998 because it came on Turner Classic Movies all the time. And there were times I'd be excited. I'm sure everyone else can relate. Hopefully it's the 1933 one. It's the 1976 one.
The Dino De Laurentiis one?
Yeah.
The one where he promised a full giant mechanical
The one
Kong
where
that he
the
couldn't deliver on?
relationship between him and Jessica Lange is disturbingly reciprocal almost.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't like that one as much. They focused way too much on the love story, but then again, the Peter Jackson one did too, disturbingly so.
And,
See, I think the Peter Jackson one is sweet, and we can get into this later.
Yes.
But yeah, I don't think it's disturbing.
I would agree,
I
too.
think it's nice.
Yeah, I got a list of likes and dislikes for that movie, so we can get into that later in the video in the episode.
Sure.
But it's a better remake than the 76 one.
Oh,
Right?
100%.
Yeah. Well, I will say, I think when explaining the difference between a remake and a reboot to somebody, I think King Kong's the best example because for a remake, you can use Peter Jackson because it's the same story, the same character, the same scenario. Kong Skull Island.
They do change Driscoll up a bit.
Yeah, but that's like a small thing. But
we'll talk about Driscoll. God.
But Kong Skull Island is more of a reboot because it keeps the Kong name and the Skull Island name, but the story is completely different. There's a different reason. And
I would almost say that's not even a reboot. That's almost a sequel at that point.
Yeah.
In some ways, because it is set well past it. I don't know. You could make the argument for it either way, I guess.
Peter Jackson was going to also remake Son of Kong. There's some art for that, but it ended up never happening.
No, that was actually an April Fool's Day joke.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
Actually, there's this one Kong movie from 1998 almost nobody wants to remember called The Mighty Kong. It was this
Oh.
Warner Brothers animated movie. They Disneyfied King Kong, basically.
Yeah,
Oh,
with
boy.
Jodie Benson.
Yeah, and the final movie of Dudley Moore.
Mm,
Aw.
Venom.
not Arthur.
Yeah. But anyway, let's get into the King Kong review. So the one thing I want to say is I love how in the opening title sequence, how when they had that whole, back in the day, had like a whole title card with all the
Mhm.
characters, and then Kong has his own.
Mm-hmm. He's the eighth wonder of the world. He needs his own title
Yeah.
card.
Yeah, that's some confidence right there that this movie's gonna be like the biggest, most iconic
Sure.
movie of all time, pretty much.
And they're like,
And then it was.
it was, yeah. And they're really teasing him because people probably showed up thinking they're going to see Kong in like the first reel, and he doesn't show up for like 40 minutes before he's finally there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's worth it. It's worth it to get to him.
I also really love how like ambitious the Carl Denham character is. Because to me, he's sort of like John Hammett from Jurassic Park. Because I'm actually rereading Jurassic Park again, and
Oh,
they're definitely both characters that let Ambisson blind Lozak.
but he's
What a
more
piece
like
of
the
shit
movie.
that Carl did him.
He's more like the movie Hammond, not the book one, who's a straight up villain.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Right. Well, you
Yeah.
got Richard Attenborough. Like, you can't make him like he's too lovable. He's like a little teddy bear.
Yeah.
yeah. Hammond in the book I'm rediscovering is he's kind of a piece of shit.
So is kind of Carl. So is Carl Denham in some ways.
Yeah, kinda.
Completely
Yeah.
just like throwing caution to the wind and putting all of his actors in immediate danger. Like-
What's the big deal? You know, I was right there with the rifle. Didn't trust me to get the rhino before it got me.
Jeez.
Well, of course, Denham is based on the director of this movie, Marion Cooper.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
he was like a nature documentary guy. He would go out and film like lions and tigers and bears. Oh my!
Yeah,
That was his whole thing. And this was like, he had made some other features at this point, but this was his crowning achievement. This was the thing that brought both of his worlds together, sort of the nature documentary and the big budget kind of narrative director as well.
Yeah, and I love how Carl Denham basically, when he's talking to like his investors or his producers or whatever, he basically says they'll have to think up new additives when I come back. I'm like, that is how like cocky this guy is. Like,
Yeah.
this guy thinks he's gonna make the most spectacular movie ever. Which is funny.
Which he completely abandons like as soon as he gets to the island, basically. Like
Yeah.
they try to shoot it, and he's
It's
just like, I'm done with this. Let's go find the girl.
Yeah.
And,
No, but it's funny how he was basically based off of the director Cooper, who basically made like the big spectacle movie that like influenced so many people, from like Steven Spielberg, Peter Jackson, John Landis, Way Harryhausen, and all those guys.
He was.
He did exactly what Carl Denham was trying to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta say real quick, one of my favorite my favorite nod in the Peter Jackson movie to this movie is when Jack Black's character is trying to find like a girl that can fit the previous actresses' outfits, and he's like, wait a minute, Fei Wei is a size 10, and then Colin Hanks goes, yes, but she's doing a movie with RKO.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then Jack Black looking into the camera, he's like, Cooper, I'm not
Yeah.
So like he's making a movie that this is a remake of.
It's so
It's a nice
meta.
joke.
It's so meta.
I haven't seen that level of meta since the Double Dragon arcade machine and the Double Dragon.
Oh. Oh no.
Yeah. No, like when every time I see that
The
moment,
Scott Wolf classic.
every time I see that moment, I'm like, who wrote this? Kevin Williamson from Scream?
Mm-hmm.
That's how meta it got.
It's pretty meta. I do like Jack Black's arc better than Carl Denham's arc in this movie. They just kind of brush over it, and he just kind of comes off as a jerk. I can at least understand where Jack Black's coming from in some ways, where he's like he's got multiple pressure coming from multiple angles.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. And I also like how they didn't necessarily explore the depression that deeply in this version because people were already living it.
She's trying to steal a piece of fruit. You get what's going on here.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then there's that whole line of ladies he first encounters, like who are lining up for the soup kitchen.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I just gotta say, going back to the Peter Jackson version, the part when Naomi Watts goes up to the play or the theater owner, and he's basically like, a pretty lady like you doesn't have to starve. There's this place down the street where you can go. And
Yeah.
to me, like, that was like low key sexism right there, if you think about it.
While that one was subtle, this one is pretty blatantly sexist.
Yeah, this is
At
some
all
high key
points.
sexism in this movie.
Yeah, like they're not even trying to hide it.
And racism, yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Well, no,
God.
what was so bad about it was like even like the Asian dude was like being racist toward the native.
Crazy black man been here. That was 1933. I'm like, oh god.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad. It's pretty
As wonderful as some of the
racism.
yeah, as wonderful as some of the effects are later in the movie, there's just bits of this that I'm just like, ooh.
Yeah, the early parts of the movie, especially as the movie goes along, it becomes more and more about the spectacle and the adventure.
Yeah.
And that's the best stuff in the movie. But the early parts, yuck.
You could really probably lose a lot of that first like 30 minutes and not really lose anything.
I noticed that when you're a kid, when you were watching.
No, never.
Kid, assuming you're into this stuff, which most of your people were. Like, can we just get to the monsters already?
Right. Exactly.
Right. Also, too, why did they build a giant door? Like, it doesn't make any sense. If they just go through the door to put up like a sacrifice, like wouldn't they just have a human-sized door? But they have a giant door so that Kong can come through it. Like I wondered that this time watching through.
They built a giant door because they wanted a giant door in the movie.
Well, of course,
because it looks cool.
And it was actually
cool. It was actually a part of an earlier set that had been built for, I think, a Cecil B. DeMille movie. I think it was like The Gates of Jerusalem.
Going back to the sexism thing real quick, I like how like Anne kind of stands up for herself for like a half a second, and then like it goes back into like the kind of submissive kind of role because because basically like Gagbertel says, women are nothing but a nuisance and they can't help to be that. And basically, like, Anne basically says, well, I haven't been a bit of trouble to anyone, haven't I? It's like you're standing up for yourself and then you take it back.
Right. This is after she had been accidentally whacked in the face, too, by Driscoll.
Right.
Like, right afterwards. And it's just like, oh, man.
The whole idea for dinosaurs was there was this sort of pseudo sequel to the 1925 Lost World called Creation that never got filmed except for one scene. And RKO didn't want those dinosaurs to go to waste, so they decided, let's incorporate that into the King Kong movie that Marion C. Cooper guy's making.
Okay.
Makes sense. It makes sense.
Yeah, it was originally he was supposed to fight a Komodo dragon. That was the original idea. And then they had these dinosaur models, so they turned it into a T-Rex.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
That's fine. I'm willing to suspend disbelief at that point once we get onto this island. But also too, like all those like composite shots where they've got foreground, background, and they've got a basically amazing looking.
They're amazing.
Like there's Stegosaurus at the top where they do like a push in, so they dolly in after a certain point after they shoot it, and it's just like I don't even know how they did that.
I almost felt bad for that Stegosaurus back then. It died a slow and painful death.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It wasn't even really coming after him.
Yeah, I think a lot of those composite shots you're talking about, like, isn't very impressive, like how they're able to figure that out at the time.
Oh yeah.
Watching it now, you can totally tell that they're acting in front of a screen of some sort.
Oh sure.
Yeah, but that's part of the fun of a lot of these movies, like Godzilla and King Kong, and like all these older movies.
And
like,
you can see like you can see like his fur ruffle up in spots whenever
The
In
rabbit-
between shots,
Yeah.
there he's like
The
moving him.
fingerprints.
One of my favorite lines is when when Colonel Denham basically, he talked about, the whole Beauty and the Beast kind of thing. And he says the Beast was a tough guy too. He could look the world, but when he saw Beauty, he got him. And that's like perfect foreshadowing right there.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they do a lot of foreshadowing, more so than I remember the last time I'd watched this movie. They dropped that Beauty and the Beast line like quite often. from
Yeah.
what I originally remember it just being at the top and the bottom, like that quote that which is apparently made up. There is no
Oh, yeah.
old Arabian proverb. But yeah, they drop it quite a bit. But I guess you want to hammer it home.
Yeah, it's like how Quentin Tarantino like added that Bible verse in Pulp Fiction.
Sure, yeah.
Yep.
Sometimes good dramatic storytelling just requires you to make something up.
And I
Yeah.
love how Denham like built up to Kong in the beginning, and he says basically neither beast nor man, something monstrous, all powerful, still living, still holding that island in the grip of fear.
Hmm.
And it's very ominous.
Mm-hmm.
And like you didn't even need music at that point.
It's true. Music doesn't come in for a long while in this
Yeah.
movie.
No, and this was one of the first to use like those really big orchestral, the non-silent, to kind of blend that in. Because like Dracula, for example, there is no musical score through pretty much out that whole movie.
Mm-hmm.
Except for the opening credits. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Hadn't figured sound out yet. It was
Yeah,
still
they were
very
still
early
figuring
in
it out.
sound.
Going back to the dinosaur thing, I think the whole like Kong versus the T-Rex is pretty awesome.
My
Oh,
favorite
yeah.
scene in
Yeah.
the whole movie.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. When he like jumps on top of him and kind of puts him in the head like
Oh yeah,
Crushes
it was
his
like
skull.
a wrestling match.
Well, you know how they came up with all that, right? So
Mm-mm.
Marion Cooper and his co-director, whose name I can't really pronounce, it's like Ernest Schoedstack or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. And so
I've heard
they
that in
used to
commentary.
both wrestle, and so they would get up in front of the animators and act out the scene, and they filmed it, and then the animator just copied all their wrestling moves to
Okay.
make that fight.
that's crazy.
So what you're saying is he literally held him on the ground and ripped his jaw out and then jammed it back into his head.
Yes.
Well,
Oh,
that-
God.
yeah, and that's
Knew
a
it.
method
I
that like
knew it.
animators use like today. Like they will literally act out scenes and film themselves.
Yeah.
And like
Sure.
Well, it turned into motion capture. Now we just have that.
So I didn't know that. That was pretty. That was an interesting fact, Jackson. That's why I have you on these these episodes. I keep forgetting how like mean King Kong is in this movie because he's like stomping on people and putting
Brutal.
people in their
And he
mouth.
puts them in his mouth too and just bites them to death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't eat him. Just like bites him, but then just like, eh.
I know.
Yeah.
And
Puffs
this
And then he
them
one
away.
pulls them out and
woman-
just throws them on the ground.
Yeah.
this one woman is just trying to have a nice, comfortable sleep in her bed. He just pulls her out and throws her onto the ground.
Sure.
Right, for sure.
My question too is this a normal day for Kong? Is he fighting like 3 dinosaurs every day? Or
I
is
would
this just
imagine
like
so.
a special?
Probably.
Man, that's a rough existence.
I know.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, that has to be a regular day for him. I mean, you're surrounded like in a jungle with all these like crazy creatures.
Guess so. I guess he's king of the jungle though. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, well,
he's
King
the
Kong
only
for
one that
Moose
has
City, right?
thumbs,
I mean,
opposable appendages.
Yeah.
even in the cave that's supposed to be like his home, he ends up fighting a plesiosaurus.
Yeah.
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 Then
It's
a
just- that's his home.
pterodactyl
That's where he
comes
lives,
down
yeah.
and he has to. Yeah.
I'm sure he's always just like, damn it. Keeps happening.
Oh, I got massive respect for the guy.
He goes through a lot. He goes through a lot.
I also think this the Empire State Building scene had to have been like inspired somewhat by the ending scene from the Universal movie version of Murders in the Rue Morgue, the one where Bela Lugosi is trying to find a mate for this ape that he has to prove the theory of evolution true. And the ape ends up killing Lugosi and carrying the woman to the top of this building.
Okay.
And then just,
And this was
I
30.
mean, probably so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was like, and that's like an old cliche of like the monster always carrying off the girl.
I read somewhere that the director had like just walked out of the building one day and looked up and thought about the Empire State Building, like someone carrying it up the Empire State Building. That's where he came up with
Uh-huh.
this idea of like nature running amok in sort of the civilized world. But I don't know if that was true or not. I can't remember where I read that.
Well, the story I heard was that he had that image in a dream.
Mm.
Oh,
So, who knows? Who
Yeah,
knows?
I've heard that, it's because it was the tallest building in the world at the time.
Yeah.
And
They
it was
wanted to
relatively
find-
new, right? Like they just built it when I'm gonna
Yeah,
say,
it had just gone up. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
wow.
yeah, I honestly think this is like one of the most like perfect merges of like a fictional character and a real life like architectural like
Yeah.
place. Like I think for
Mhm.
me, like it's up there with like Rocky in the museum steps and like Peter
Yeah.
Pan and like Big Ben. Okay, before we go any further, can we talk about like Will O'Brien for a second and how amazing like his stop motion is?
Sure.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, he's like one of the pioneers. I mean, he originally worked on The Lost World before this.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Years.
Yeah, if you didn't have Will O'Brien, you wouldn't have like Phil Tippett and Ray Harryhausen and like
You wouldn't have this movie altogether if you if you didn't have him. I don't know how they would have done it. I mean, the life size Kong face is pretty impressive for the time. But
Yeah.
without like his big moving around and those fights, which took months to shoot, like one
Yeah.
of them took like 7 weeks, like him and like fighting like the plesiosaurs or something took like so long. It's wild.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
wild how long they
Well,
spent on
plus
this
you have
movie.
like the human characters occasionally are stop motion, and it's
Yeah.
seamless. You can't
Mhm.
tell
oh
where
really?
it turns from
Yeah.
one to the next one.
Oh yeah,
Ever.
there's all kinds of shots of like hands going in front of them real
Yeah.
quick, and then picking up like a
Yep.
stop motion person, and then like it turning back into a live person at certain
It's
points.
incredible.
Great.
Anyway, guys, if you don't have anything else to say about King Kong, do you want to go to a favorite part, least favorite part?
Anything that's like once Kong shows up in the movie, like from there to them leaving the island is pretty great. Like that
Okay.
whole chunk of the movie is nonstop and just wonderful.
Mhm.
Like effects look great. Most performances are solid, and I could watch that all day.
Yep.
So
Mhm.
that middle section of the movie is just sweet spot for me.
Least
For
favorite part.
me, my least favorite part is
Oh, no, to
probably
Eric.
that
No,
the
my least favorite part.
Yeah.
Just the entire opening of the movie,
Oh.
which is probably what you were going to say. The first 30 minutes are kind of like,
Yeah.
man, this is really bad.
Well, for me, it's probably the overture goes on a little too long for me.
Oh, that's your least favorite part?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then what is your favorite part? I know you said the T-Rex battle, but we still gotta.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. For me, that was like a wrestling match.
All right, to you, Jackson. What is your favorite part and your least favorite part of this film?
Favorite part, I was gonna go with the T-Rex battle, but that seems to be pretty well covered. I love Kong on the Empire State Building.
Yeah, you can't beat that. That's
I
like
love how you just see, because you've seen him as this monster the whole movie, and then finally you get this very expressive sadness from
I
this
know.
little stop motion puppet
Mhm.
as he's being taken down by the airplanes, and you finally feel something really deep and tender for this creature as he's being taken down.
It's
right.
like, out of all
Least
the
favorite?
movies,
Oh,
we
go
see
ahead.
that in Kong, but this is the one I think you see the least of that with, since he's
You
pretty much-
do, but it
little
really
sad.
still works in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Least favorite part, Bruce Cabot. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Bruce Cabot's performance is just one of the worst things. Like, well, Anne, I guess I love you.
My favorite part probably it's probably the shot when they're going up to Skull Island and you got the fog and like the music.
Oh,
Yeah, like here's my thing. I love all kinds of horror movies. I can do like psychological, gory, comedy. but I really love horror movies that have a good atmosphere to it. I really do
Mhm.
actors.
Sure.
And it's not necessarily a horror movie per se, it's more of a monster movie. But that song right there, that really just gets me in the mood.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah, I like mystery. Least favorite part, probably the characters and like certain story beats are kind of dull and uneven at points. Cause like as iconic as Freddyway is, he's not as like 3-dimensional as like Naomi Watts. And I even mentioned this to you, Jackson. I feel like the first time Screen Queen has become 3-dimensional was Janet Leigh in Psycho.
Sure, but that
Yeah.
doesn't mean that Fay Ray is not a scream queen
Oh yeah, no, I'm not saying.
because her scream is like the best.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah.
True.
I'm not saying that like Janet Leigh's like the most feminist-friendly like character in the movie.
Yeah.
I'm just
No, I
saying
get
that
you.
was the first one that like was like real 3-dimensional.
Yeah.
Let's get into theme. Does anybody have a theme they want to talk about? I know you do.
Wow.
I mean, you asked me to talk about a theme, so I came up with the only one I could think of. So we're gonna let Tom Waits introduce the theme of the movie. Imperialism and colonization. Yeah. That's what else could this movie be about? I don't think that these filmmakers necessarily had that on their mind when they made it, but
Right.
it creeps in.
Mm,
It's about
Yeah.
a group of white people who go to this other, place where there's a native culture and they just sort of do whatever they want.
right.
Yep.
And then they take um, essentially a member of that native culture. I mean, he's kind of their god, but that's not the point. They just subdue him and take him back to New York City and put him on display for everyone to see. Like, it
And
doesn't
then they get upset.
more.
They get upset when he breaks out. They're like,
Yeah.
And that scene
What
where
did
they're
you
like,
expect?
gunfire is something new in their lives.
Oh gosh, yeah. It's there's so much going on with that, but at the same time, like I don't think any of that is intentional. Because I think at the time they just saw this as like exploration. But yeah, I mean that's essentially what this movie boils down to is the white man going into this other land and just doing and taking what he wants.
Right.
yep, pillaging
And
and
treating the
doing what-
women like garbage along the way.
One of the things that I thought of, and it's real evident in the Peter Jackson one, but it's here a little bit in this one. Escapism, especially escapism in hard times. And that
Sure.
really struck with me because we just got out of a pandemic, and because of that, we're dealing with a lot of economic stuff. Prices of stuff are going up, and people are getting hours cut at their job and all this. It's really important to like have like some sort of like entertainment in your life to kind of get away from that. And I think that's what Carl Denham's trying to do. Like he's trying to like, get people to pay $20 per ticket to witness King Kong to stop thinking about the Great Depression and their woes for a minute. The thing that kind of sucks about it is he's exploiting an animal for entertainment. An animal striking back. So it's a little bit like Jurassic Park going back to that. And also Jordan Peele's Nope. Because Nope.
Yes.
Yeah. Kind of. I don't know if you ever saw the movie Nope, Bradley, but that a similar theme to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a good movie.
Yeah, it's all about how you can't really understand what's going on in nature. You can do your best, and you can try to subdue nature and work with nature, but at the same time, there's always a part of nature that's beyond you, and it could come back to bite you and kill you.
Right.
So,
or rip your face off.
Or rip your face off, or suck you inside of its organ and then slowly squeeze all your blood out.
And
Nope's great.
I can see how the Beauty and the Beast thing here, the only other monster movie that is really iconic in that aspect is Creature from the Black Lagoon.
I mean, other than obviously Beauty and the Beast. That was like the archetype for
Sure.
Oh, I was going to go Shape of Water, which might come up in a minute.
God. Eric, like cleanse the planet of the bestiality and Shape of Water.
Mm.
But
Oh.
what's the theme that you noticed in 1933's King Kong? If you have
I
one.
mean, yeah, I think Jackson hit on a lot of like there was a lot of unintentional things that have come out of it since then.
Mhm.
And maybe they were unintentional. I don't know with the directors or whatever. But I think one of the things they were at least striving for was the idea of like nature versus technology. And it really comes to a head once they make it to New York at the end. And him climbing this new modern wonder, this new towering skyscraper, basically the eighth wonder of the world, taking on this new modern world, and then getting killed in the process. That technology ultimately will kill nature and kill our humanity in some ways, because we're always striving for something bigger and better. But that's, I mean, I think that was what they were going for. In hindsight, though, it gets kind of muddled and a little pretty racist. But
But what about you, Bradley? What is the thing that you noticed?
Well, it's a little more obvious, but one thing, the Beauty and the Beast aspect, that Kong basically does get careless, and he basically fell in love with Fay Ray, and he got careless, and he walked into those smoke bombs.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, the real villain of the movie is Carl Denham, to be honest.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's like
He gets
going back to the old
nothing
time.
happens to him. He's perfectly fine by the end of it.
Fred Wilson, Charles Grodin's version of Carl Denham in 1976, he got stomped at the end.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Perfect conclusion for him.
So before we talk about the other Kong movies, let's go around the room just real quick and give our rating for this movie. So I'll just go first. 5 out of 5. Great movie. It has some issues, but it is so iconic that you cannot give it that 5 out of 5. Jack, can you go? What's your rating?
On a technical level, it's a 5 out of 5. On storytelling and thematic level, it's more like a 2. So we're gonna even that out and give it like a 3.5.
Okay. Bradley?
Well, okay, it's an echo chamber in here, but 5 out of 5. It's just a cinematic landmark that was one of those quantum leaps in cinema at the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Eric?
I feel like we've split the room because I'm kind of in Jackson's. I'm on his side, I think, for this. Technically, amazing.
I knew you
wonderful.
would be, Eric.
It's technically wonderful, but at the same time, there's a lot of things that are like, oh no, oh that's bad.
Right.
So I'm at like a 3. I'm at like if I'm just watching that middle 40 minutes, wonderful, perfect. The first 30 minutes though, ugh. You were nice giving it a 2. I was going to say like, ooh, a 1.
Yeah.
So, but
I mean, that probably averages about like 2 or 4, maybe.
Yeah. It's
Overall.
part of cinema history. You should watch it on a technical
Yes.
level, and should watch it as a piece of history, as knowing that the times have changed drastically since then, and that this is a time capsule of a time that was long ago, 90 years ago now. But
The birth of my grandfather at the time.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, so very cool. Let's talk about some other Kong movies. Cause I got
That's all about.
Oh yeah, well, I got a list of likes and dislikes of the Peter Jackson film. Could I just watch that? But I don't know if you want me if you're okay with me going on that, or if you want to talk about other Kong movies before I get to that.
Should we talk about Son of Kong first?
I've never seen it.
Oh,
I haven't either, so y'all go for it.
I've seen it, but it's been like years. Like I was like 10 when I saw it.
Oh my god, it's so slow. The movie doesn't even begin until like almost the third act, because they're on this island circus, and then they finally go there like with this guy named Hellstrom, the guy who originally sold Denham the map. And there's a mutiny where Inglehorn, Hellstrom, and this new girl, and Denim are all thrown off, and so is Charlie, the Chinese guy, because it begins like apparently Denim is being sued left and right for the damages that Kong caused to New York City.
As
Rightfully
he deservedly should be.
Yeah.
And one line, he's like, people are still, and reporters are coming after him. And he's like, oh, come on. That's enough. It's been months. That's enough time to forget the World War.
Oh God.
And
Denim.
then they find out about this diamond that's on the same island. And then they go back to Skull Island on a raft because the crew threw them off because they don't want to go back there. And the natives, who are played by the same actors, are rightfully pissed off about what happened to their village. They say, no, you're not coming back to this island. And so they circle around to find another way.
Right.
And then they find Kong's son, who Denim basically orphaned. They pull him out of this quicksand, and then he accompanies them on their journey to find this diamond.
Oh my God.
And then we get some fights with a grizzly bear, some dragon creature, and we get like a styracosaur and I guess another plesiosaur. I don't know. And the island ends up sinking. All the natives die, including Kong's son, who sacrifices himself to save Denim. And then they go back to New York with the diamond to pay off their debts.
That sounds a lot like what that one from Toho when he fights the robot Kong, King Kong Lives or whatever.
Kong Escapes.
Yeah, that movie's crazy.
Yeah, it was. I mean, and by the way, my father mistakenly said that Mechani-Kong seemed like a ripoff of Mechagodzilla. I'm like, Dad, this came out in 1967. The original Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla came out in 1974.
Right.
So,
Those
All I know
thieving
is that Tom
Toho-
Waits is over here rolling his eyes at the summary of that movie.
But what do you guys think about the Peter Jackson King Kong? Now, like I said, I got a list, so I'm not gonna say anything. I'll just let you guys go first, and I'll go to my list.
Sure.
Okay.
Go ahead. You got.
Okay. Well, I remember looking forward to this movie because I'd been watching the original movie since the 90s. And I'm like, this is going to be a better remake than that 1976 one. And I went with my friend's youth group at the time to see it in Benton. And I'm just sitting there and I'm like, okay, this is this doesn't need to be as long as Lord of the Rings, Peter. Come on. And then I'm like looking forward to what they're gonna do with the T-Rex or V-Rex fight in this one. I'm like, wait, oh come on, we don't need 3 of them. This is overkill. I'm like, I want a mano-a-mano match type fight, and no, we don't need to have Naomi Watts being juggled in the middle of this. And I'm like, I felt that just took away from the fight. But I did like how they characterized Adrian Brody's version of Jack Driscoll. He's a more unlikely hero because he's a screenwriter instead of like a soldier or a mate.
Sailor, yeah.
Yeah, that was an interesting take. He's still just boring.
They did the best they could.
It's more interesting than the one in this version, at least. The 30.
Yeah, because they got a real actor to play him.
Yeah, and they give him time to kind of develop his character a bit.
Yeah.
Not just being a jerk. I like the Peter Jackson version. A lot of people hit it a lot because it's too long, which it is way too long. It probably could be like 20, 30 minutes shorter and really not lose anything. There's a long time before they get to the island. But I think it's fun. The last time I watched it, I watched the extended version, which adds in 2 more sequences, and I was like, these are like, this is way too long now.
I know. And he's been doing that.
Yeah, they fight a river monster and all this other. Yeah.
Yeah. They didn't need that. But I do love. I think it's a better version of like humanizing Kong than this one.
Yeah.
Like Jackson was talking about, like you get those moments in the last few seconds, but of the 33 version. But like I think they do a really good job, and Andy Serkis is great as like motion capture, but I think they really humanize Kong a lot better in the Peter Jackson one.
It's not creepy and disturbing like in the '76 movie.
Right. It's kind of sweet. It's kind of nice.
Yeah. The sequence on the ice, like a lot of people make fun of that because it is corny.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think it fits in Jackson's vision. And so I'll just go ahead and say, I do like this version. I don't love it because for the same reasons that y'all are saying, it's way too long. It goes on forever and ever and ever. But the moments where it works, it really works.
Right.
Yeah. Naomi Watts is giving like an Oscar caliber performance, acting to nothing basically.
Yeah.
Did you ever work with Serkis? Like, were they ever on?
They were on like the blue screen stage, and Andy Serkis was like perched up in a little tower, and they had like the big like prop King Kong fists and stuff like that. But she was acting with him. So I won't say she was acting to nothing. She was acting to Andy Serkis, even though he's like a regular sized dude and King Kong is this massive gorilla. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. It has a lot of stupid stuff in it, like the dinosaur chase through the canyon does not age well. And also you get all this extraneous stuff, like the captain of the ship and the sort of ship's boy character, and they have like this whole little story that's going on that doesn't mean anything.
I want to be a captain.
It's just I still love. Okay, what I love about it is that it's clearly the movie that Peter Jackson has wanted to make since he was a little kid, and they gave him all these really expensive toys to make it.
Right.
Yep.
There's something really joyful and pure about that. And I won't gripe about that at all.
Because Peter Jackson has gone on record and said that the original 33 movie is his favorite movie of all time.
Right.
Yeah, and he started as a kid making like stop motion, Ray Harryhausen, Willis O'Brien type.
And he even tried to recreate the spider pit scene from the original as an extra.
Yeah. No, this is a labor of love from Peter Jackson. And I can't gripe with that.
I think he even said that he tried to remake King Kong when he was a kid, and he failed to do so.
Oh, I believe it. I wonder what this movie would have been like if he hadn't have made the Lord of the Rings before now, because he was in talks after the Frighteners to do this before the Lord of the Rings stuff went through. So I wonder if it would have been more restrained had he not gotten like the
if
Oscars,
he had made it
you know
first
what I mean?
and then gotten to do Lord of the Rings.
Right.
Who knows?
Right.
Who knows?
But boy, the Lord of the Rings has suffered from that point. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
It's apples to oranges, I guess. I don't know.
The canceled 1996 King Kong that was supposed to come out.
It was 96 King Kong?
Well, it was supposed to happen, but it never got off the ground.
Oh, yeah, that might have been him. Yeah, because he was, because he had done his stuff through like the late 80s, early 90s, like making his splatter films and stuff. And he had made his way to Hollywood. And I don't remember. What year did The Frighteners come out? Was that like 97? 96, 97?
97 around there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
he'd gotten like the taste of like Hollywood from like Heavenly Creatures. Like he got that Oscar nomination. And then they were like, here's all this money, and Robert Zemeckis, someone give you all this money to do whatever you want. Then he made The Frighteners, and it kind of bombed. Yeah.
But I think originally, his original version of that, the 96 version, was supposed to be more kind of like an action adventure, like Indiana Jones or like The Mummy with Brendan Fraser.
Sure.
Yeah.
But
I like that he got to make his version, which is kind of this quasi-meditative, like epic version of his favorite movie from when he was a kid. Because who among us would not want to make that movie? Everybody's got that movie that you want to remake in your own style.
Right.
Yeah.
And he got to do it. So bully for him.
Right. Can I get to my list?
Okay, go ahead.
Go for it.
Okay. So did I do my likes or dislikes first?
Do your dislikes
choice
first.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I have one dislike that's connected to one of my likes, so I'll do that one. Okay.
Okay.
what the fuck is up with those slow-mo scenes? When Jack Paul
It's all choppy.
yeah, it's
Oh yeah, yeah.
Skull Island, and then Adrian Brody's like, "Ugh, you,
So stupid.
oh, yeah, it's like, like,
Slow motion for typewriting.
yeah, like, it was so stupid. Well, like this guy's building up Skull Island to be like this mysterious place. That's good enough. You don't have to do the slow mo shit. And then when like Captain Anglehorn shoots that one Danish guy that goes in slow mo, it's like, what was the point of that? Well, yeah. We really dived into the character in the head of that native character so much so that we have to have a fucking slow mo shot.
I mean, but you wouldn't have known which letters he was typing in then if they had.
Oh yeah,
It's true.
there are too many moments in this movie of Anne and Kong staring at each other.
Oh god.
Plus, the ice skating scene is ridiculous. I hate that scene so much. Like, I hate that so much to the point where I have to skip it because I was just done. I was done watching of seeing Naomi Ross stare romantically in the eyes of Kong. I was just done with it at that point.
I remember that scene. I'm like, you are trying too hard, Peter. And but then I reminded myself, it could be worse. It could be Kong's finger brushing up against the side of Jessica Lange's face.
So then they're on the sit for too long with that. I don't need to explain that. Why doesn't
It's got to feel like a real voyage.
Yeah. Yeah. This movie is 4 weeks long. About as long as
Shot in real time. Shot in real time.
Yeah, the extended cut, they had to cut it on 2 separate DVD discs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, well, that was DVD. Blu-ray, I'm sure it's all on one.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
on one in Blu-ray. It's on one.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's my question. Here's my other question. Why doesn't Anne appear in Jack's play? If he wasn't, I get that she wasn't in Carl Denham's like show of Kong because she didn't want, she was against them exploiting Kong. I get that, but why was he in Jack Driscoll's comedy that he made specifically for her? It would remove that whole unnecessary dance scene in the middle of the movie. Like it would take like 2 minutes.
I don't know. It's unrequited love. He was still pining after her, but he could never ask her to be in the play, or she moved on, or there's a lot of stuff left unsaid
But
after they leave the island.
He kind of asked her that if he wanted.
He did on the boat, but that was before they left the island, and he was like trying to drag her along, and maybe she hated him at the end of that. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. The love story. Oh, speaking of that, the love story between Anne and Jack is kind of weak because there's more emphasis on the bestiality side of this movie.
God.
Okay, so on to my likes. I like Jack Black more as Carl Denham because it's more by dynamic performance. It's more entertaining. Plus, I just love Jack Black. He's one of my favorite actors of all time.
Sure.
Love how they explored the Great Depression more deeply because, again, in the original, people were living it, so they didn't really need to.
You kind of need that in this movie.
Yeah, it's kind of set up the world. I'm not saying Andy Serkis was a better King Kong than the original, but I love the portrayal of Kong in this because it gives him more emotion.
Sure.
Like I said, Andy Serkis is an amazing actor. Really love the world building in Skull Island. I thought that was real neat.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, how like all the
just takes them so long to get there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they did that in like Lord of the Rings, where like things in the background or like things like carved in like caves or whatever, like something.
That's
sure.
3 long books, though.
Right.
This wasn't.
Yeah, they could have cut this movie down like
at least this wasn't like a 3-parter like The Hobbit, and like they made it into 3 3-hour movies. So count your blessings when you got them.
Yeah. I really like Bruce Baxter's redemption arc, kind of, because he plays like this hunky masculine hero role in movies, but then he's kind of a wuss because he runs away from the dinosaur chase. and then he saves the Venture crew from the bug pit. But then the arc is kind of incomplete because he shows up during Denham's show, and then that's it. But then,
Yeah.
then that becomes kind of interesting commentary there because there's like movies are like an illusion, or entertainment can be like an illusion. Like you think just one thing, like you see these people as one thing, but then like they're actually not that all the time.
Right. And it's not as like, I don't think it's as 1-2 as they sometimes gets put. Like he's not just like, oh, he's not just a coward because he plays one on screen, and I think they explore that fairly well. But you're right, he does get no payoff by the end of it. He's just like, we saw him again, but that's it. That doesn't matter.
I have to say, I do love his moment where he's gone back into his room and somebody's drawn a mustache on his face, and then he has a little comb and he holds it up. And he's very impressed with himself.
Right.
So
that part was pretty funny. What do you guys, just real quick before we get to the next segment, what do you think of Kong Skull Island and Kong versus Godzilla, or Godzilla versus Kong?
Kong Skull Island rules.
Oh yeah.
That movie might actually be my favorite King Kong movie. I'm not going to say it's better than the original or whatever, but just from a beginning to end kind of like exercise in adventure storytelling, it's pretty solid. There's not a lot you can argue with. You've got a great cast. Tom Hiddleston and Brie Larson and Sam Jackson and John C. Reilly and
John C. Reilly.
John C. Reilly is doing Oscar level work in that movie.
Steals the show, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And like the ending you get with him where he gets to go home and visit his family and drink a beer and like eat a hot dog. Like it's really nice.
It's terrific.
For like a movie like this. Yeah.
It's terrific. Tom Hiddleston, he's known as kind of a villainous actor because of his work in the MCU. Yeah. But I love getting to see him play like the dashing hero. Yeah. He's great at it. He should get to play more of those roles.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you, Jackson. I think this might be my favorite King Kong movie after watching it the third time. Especially the helicopter scene. That is my favorite giant monster.
It rolls
ever.
It's really good. There's lots of cool monsters on the island. Yeah.
Dude, that part when he throws the tree at that helicopter at the beginning. Oh, dude, if I saw that, I'd be pissing through my freaking balls at that point.
What a way to put that.
Yeah, boy, it's a drunk history reference. Watch the Frankenstein segment.
The way you find Kong's face on here, though, it's supposed to look like the 1933 RKO version, the way they made it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
because he's also bipedal. He's not like the Peter Jackson one where he's walking around like an actual gorilla. Right. He's walking around on his feet. Yeah. So I thought that was a cool choice. Obviously, all the Apocalypse Now references. You get the helicopters in the sunset and all the colors and everything.
Was amazing.
Yeah.
Especially hearing Black Sabbath. Hearing Black Sabbath was amazing in this.
Oh yeah. And let's not forget the historical moment, the first time somebody said the word fuck in a King Kong movie.
Yeah. You know what? You're right.
Yeah. And it wasn't Sam Jackson. Oh, no, it was Sam Jackson, right?
Yeah, I think it was someone else. I don't remember exactly. I'll have to go back and rewatch it.
But I love the part when Sam Jackson...
John C. Reilly who did it.
What was that?
It was John C. Reilly.
Oh, yeah, okay. My joke makes sense. But you can't talk about this and not talk about the fact that, like, Sam Jackson quotes Jurassic Park, the hold on to your butt line, and he goes, and please, hold on to your butt.
Samuel L. Jackson never survives a creature movie.
Oh, no.
No.
I'm in Deep Blue Sea.
It's like the Sean Bean. Yeah.
Oh, Deep Blue Sea is the most iconic. Yeah.
Such a wonderful speech.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but I like how when Sam Jackson says "hold on to your butts" in this movie, it's not like his character in Jurassic Park. He says like he's like one of those voices at like a theme park when they tell you to keep all your
Yeah,
hands lines in the dude. I would pay to go on a ride, a King Kong ride, where Sam Jackson is the person that tells you to keep your hands and knees and all that stuff in the car, and at the end of that, he goes, "And please hold on to your butt."
I'd read that. I'd read that, Red.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
I'd
I
like a
live
badass
I
ride.
live
I
in
can get in line
Orlando,
for that.
the theme park capital of the world. That would make every ride better.
Oh yeah, just keep
Yeah.
Sam Jackson.
Mm.
All right,
Well,
so
Jackson's already in everything, so
one last thing before we go. I got a little fun list that what we got. um so since King Kong is considered one of the biggest monsters of all time in cinema, I thought it'd be real neat if we each did our top 5 favorite movie monsters of all time. And Jackson messed up because he did monster movies, not the
Yeah.
Wait, we were supposed to do the monsters from the movies?
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, Eric messed up too. Yes.
Okay.
It's
I
fine.
can fix this real quick. It's okay.
All right, who wants to go first?
I guess
Doesn't
I
matter.
will.
Okay, I'll have to go
Yeah.
first. Sadly.
Okay. Well, number 5, we've got Anguirus from Godzilla Raids Again.
Okay.
Mm.
And I guess my number 4 would be Gamera,
Ooh, good one.
the friend to all children. Basically, Barney the dinosaur if he was a badass warrior. What else? Number 3, I'm going to say King Ghidorah. And number 2, because, Godzilla's arch enemy. Number 2, I'm going to say Mecha Godzilla. And the 1974 version is still my favorite version. And at the very top is the king himself, Godzilla.
All right, nice. So you did all Godzilla or Toho monsters.
I'm sorry, I surprised nobody here, but
Yeah. If you know Bradley for any significant amount of time, you know that he loves his Toho Kaiju monsters.
yeah.
Godzilla is great. No, I love all those. I love all the Godzilla movies, especially like all the Toho ones in the 60s and 70s. Amazing stuff.
And I have all of them.
Oh,
Nice.
Yep.
nice. So, who's next? I'll go last since I'm the host.
I'll go, I guess.
Okay, go ahead.
I'll go. So I named all the movies, but I'll just try to remember all their names, I guess, instead. So my number 5 was, and I didn't do big monsters, so I just did any monster that I thought was a monster in a movie. So my number 5 was Tremors, those graboids.
Okay.
Because I love them. They're great. It's a silly, stupid movie. Number 4 would be The Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Of course. Obvious.
Number 3 is Audrey 2 from Little Shop of Horrors.
Yeah.
And
I
then
think of that one.
number 2 is I can't remember his name. It's the Pale Man from Pan's Labyrinth.
The Pale Man.
Oh, you took one of mine.
Sorry. And then my number 1 is Jeff Goldblum from The Fly, who plays The Fly.
Oh, nice.
All right, so I guess I have to improvise a little bit then, because 1, I got the assignment wrong, and 2, Eric took one of mine. So I'm gonna go with the Smart Gremlin from Gremlins 2.
Okay.
These are not in order, by the way. I'm gonna go with the monster from A Monster Calls, which is more of a friendly monster. He's helpful. I love that sort of thing. I'm going to go with the amphibious man from The Shape of Water, since I needed another Del Toro one. How about the Predator?
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
Finally, I'm going to go with Bruce the Shark
Okay.
from Jaws.
Yeah, that's a good one. Mine would be number 5, The Wolfman, the Lon Chaney classic.
Of course.
Number 4, I don't know if this one counts as a monster, but I want to go with Evil Ass from Army of Darkness.
Okay.
It counts.
Yeah,
It
'cause
counts.
I like skeletons. I'm a big skeleton and skull.
Yeah.
Shout
He's like
out
part
to our
skeleton.
Evil Dead episode, which you can listen to.
Oh yeah, yeah. Number 3, I'm gonna go with the Raptors from the Jurassic Park and Jurassic World series. I think those things are fucking terrifying.
Oh, yeah.
Number 2, I'm gonna go with the OG Dracula, Count Orlok, because that makeup design is amazing.
Oh yeah.
Number 1, I'm gonna go with the Xenomorph from the Alien series.
Yeah.
Smart. Yeah.
And some honorable mentions.
Regular or the Queen.
Oh yeah. But some honorable mentions, I'm gonna go with the Babadook, Gremlins, and from Stranger Things.
I guess my honorable mentions would be the Karloff version of Imhotep, the Frankenstein monster, and the Wolfman.
Okay.
Oh
Jeff,
yeah, if we're doing honorable mentions, I'm gonna go with Shelob from Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did have an honorable mention. I had 2, I think. Did anybody ever seen Basket Case? The movie from the late 80s. Yeah. So Belial was one of mine. And then the other one was the Toxic Avenger because he's a friendly neighborhood superhero monster.
One more. Pumpkinhead.
Oh yeah.
Pumpkinhead is such a great monster.
Yeah.
Really
Should have put him in my top 5, but I forgot.
Yeah. Oh, and the Beast from Beauty and the Beast. You can't forget about him. And the Hulk. You got to put the Incredible Hulk in there.
Yeah. And the Cocteau version of Beauty and the Beast from the 1946 Beauty and the Beast.
See, I don't like that version.
Yeah.
It's a little too artsy and pretentious for my taste.
I just don't like the design of the Beast. I think he looks silly and not menacing or interesting. I don't know.
I'm a Ron Perlman Beast. I'm a Ron Perlman Beast myself.
There you go. Hellboy. There we go.
Yeah.
Well, here's my question. Does the T-800 count as a monster?
No, that's a robot.
Okay.
But
I would tend to put him on there.
What is a monster though? Is it something that's man-made or something that's built? Yeah.
Yeah, you put Mechagodzilla on there.
But I mean, monster's a loose term, so yeah. Anything, everything. I don't know.
I mean,
fine. Hannibal Lecter.
The metaphorical monster, yes.
But anyways, guys, that's been the Kong 90th anniversary review. Thank you for joining us. If you liked this episode and you want to see more spooky and weird content, make sure you slap that subscribe button. Follow me on Facebook and Twitter at Sci-Fi and Beyond. And also, don't forget to leave this episode a King Kong size thumbs up. It's been Drew from Sci-Fi and Beyond. Over and out. Bye.